So welcome everyone. I'm Nick Ross, program manager here at PACE. I usually work behind the scenes to keep our programs running smoothly, but today I'll be front and center guiding you through an info session on our HR management program. I'm glad you're here, whether you're exploring new career opportunities, looking to level up your skills, or you're just curious about what we offer, you are in the right place. We've got a lot to cover, but don't worry. I'll make sure we use our time wisely to show you how this program can fit your goals. Before we dive in, I see Sarah has posted in the chat that she has to leave early, which is no problem. Just so the rest of you folks know, this is being recorded. Your faces and your names will not show up in the recording. But it'll be posted on our website in one form or another later on, and you can always email us back directly to get a copy of today's video if you have to leave early. So that goes for all of us. Okay, so here's what we're covering today. First, I'll give you an overview of the program, what it's about, what it offers, why it's a great fit for folks entering the HR field and HR professionals looking to up their game. Next, we'll hear from Maria Elena Welch, one of our superstar instructors. Woo woo. Thank you, Maria Elena. She's going to share what the program looks like from her perspective, her approach for teaching, and how it prepares students for today's HR challenges. Finally, we'll wrap up with a Q&A session, so keep your questions handy. We want to make sure you leave with all the information you need. By the end of our time together today, my goal is for you to see both the big picture and know the nitty-gritty of what PACE's HR program management program has to offer. So feel free to jot down questions or just sit back and soak it in. Let's kick things off with an overview of PACE's HR management program. I've listed some of our program's core topics here, and I'll explain a little more about what they entail right now. Talent acquisition right at the top there means you'll learn how to attract, recruit, and retain top talent in competitive markets. Moving down, employee benefits focuses on helping you design benefits packages that meet employees' needs while remaining cost effective for your organization. Leadership development is all about building the skills to coach leaders and create a culture of growth and success within your organization. And finally, compliance and standards ensures you understand the legal and regulatory frameworks you need to keep your HR practices aligned with the latest laws and standards. Our HR management program is built to set you up for success in dynamic HR roles and maybe even make you the office expert everyone comes to for advice. So what's in it for you? The HR management program at PACE is designed for both emerging HR professionals and seasoned HR practitioners. So whether you're just starting out or looking to level up, this program bridges the gap between theory and practice. We want you to learn skills that aren't just in a textbook, but applicable to real world challenges, especially the rise of AI in HR. After all, if robots are joining the workforce, which they are in droves, somebody will need to manage them. This program also emphasizes hands-on learning, so you can apply what you learn directly to workplace situations, whether it's solving compliance issues, developing leadership strategies, or managing organizational change. You'll also be learning from experienced professionals who bring years of real-world knowledge into the classroom. The program is also a great place to make connections in the field of HR. As the name entails, human resources professionals tend to like other humans, so you can take advantage of the community building opportunities in your courses and the program to expand your network, be it for supporting one another or finding the next job. Our program does have some key features that I want to call out. First off, our program is flexible. We know life's busy, whether you're juggling work, a family like me, or especially during this time of year, just trying to remember what day it is. We make all our courses accessible to the working professional. All of our courses are offered in the early evening after the 9 to 5 day is done, so you can keep your job and attend PACE courses at the same time. Most of the courses are offered online live via Zoom, so you can tune in at a scheduled time from your home, office, your couch, or wherever you find the best Wi Fi. Some courses, like Foundations of HR Management and Business and Strategy and Decision Making, are offered in a high flex format. That's a fancy way of saying you have a choice. You can attend a course in person on campus if you want to be in the same brick and mortar classroom as your instructor and classmates, or you can connect online live from wherever you are. HighFlex is the same course being offered at the same time, just with two ways of joining. And if you're someone who thrives in a traditional classroom, our Foundations of Business Leadership course is held entirely in class on campus. That's an elective that you can choose to take. And that's a good format if you want that face-to-face interaction or just an excuse to stretch your legs and leave the house, like most of us used to do before 2020. Now, you can go about this program in a couple ways. If you're looking to sharpen a specific skill, you can take individual courses, no strings attached. But if you're all in, you can complete the full program to earn a certificate. This can be useful for your resume, your LinkedIn page, or even to frame and put on your desk so that your colleagues know you've got the skills to pay the bills. Finally, this program wasn't designed in a vacuum. We worked with HR professionals and industry leaders to make sure everything you learn is practical for the real world. So whether you want to join us online, in class, or in between, if you're here for one course or the full certification, you'll be part of a program designed to teach you tangible tools you'll use as an HR professional. Our website is the main resource for all information about our HR management program. I encourage you to explore the site for more specifics, including what skills you'll get out of the program and each course, faculty bios, as well as student success stories. Let's take a quick look right now at one of the most important parts of our site, our courses chart. So this chart shows the courses offered in our HR management program, when they're available, and what formats you can choose from. Use this as your roadmap to earning a certificate. You can pick what works best for your schedule, whether it's online, high flex, or in person, or even mix and match formats to fit your life. If you're after the certificate, you'll need to complete the 3 required courses listed at the top of this chart. Then you'll choose one of the courses listed at the bottom. A fun detail to point out, one of our required courses, Building and Leading High Performance Teams, is taught by the magnificent Marielena Welch, our instructor with us today as a panelist. So not only will you hear her thoughts on the program, but you'll also get an insider scoop on that course. Zooming in on some course detail or on some details from our course chart. Here's a brief overview of some key dates for the rest of the academic year in 2025. Our winter quarter runs from January 6th to March 21st. That January 6th start date will be here before you know it, especially with the holidays. So sign up now if you want to start soon. Spring quarter is from March 31st to June 13th, and then summer session spans June 23rd to September 13th. One important note about enrollment, self-enrollment is open until 11 p.m. Pacific time on the second business day after the first class session. So that's kind of a mouthful. Let me give you an example. If a class starts on a Thursday, then self-enrollment stays open until the following Monday night. That said, if you need to enroll after that deadline, don't worry. Just reach out to us and we'll see what we can do for you. So that's the super abbreviated Cliffs Notes of our website, but there's plenty more for you to explore. Be sure to check out the frequently asked questions section for quick answers to common questions, details about tuition and financial assistance options. You might also find it helpful to look at the program highlights page to see how this certificate can boost your career. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions after scrolling through it. Now we get to the highlight of today's session, hearing directly from an HR expert extraordinaire and PACE instructor, Maria Elena Welch.
Hi, Nick. Hi, everyone. Good to be here for you today to learn more about the program.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, Maria Elena. I really appreciate it. For the attendees today, I'd like to formally introduce you to Maria Elena. Maria Elena has over 25 years of experience leading teams across industries. She started as a mechanical engineer and moved into leadership roles where she thrived managing people and solving tough challenges. She's a certified emotional intelligence coach and trainer, helping leaders use emotions strategically. Her work focuses on improving decision making, communication, and team dynamics. Maria Elena also holds a master's degree in organizational leadership, giving her a solid academic foundation. She combines this with evidence based coaching to ensure her teaching is practical and effective. And her teaching is all about giving students tools they can use right away. She focuses on strategies that address situations she's actually encountered, keeping things actionable. So I'd like you folks to hear directly from Maria Elena. So we'll have a conversation about her perspective on the program. Um, so some Q and A's for you, Maria Elena. Let's start with, as an HR instructor and professional, what makes the PACE HR management program unique and how does it prepare students to tackle today's HR challenges?
Yeah, thank you, Nick, for the question. And one thing you didn't mention, but I'll just share with the folks that are here today with us, is that I actually went through this program years ago. It looked a little different, had a couple different classes, but like a lot of the core content is still the same. And so I kind of come to this conversation not just from the perspective of an instructor, but from someone who has kind of been in your shoes and have managed taking these courses while having a full-time job and having a family, as well as an instructor. So to answer your question, Nick, what makes this program unique and how does it prepare people to tackle HR challenges? I think what I noticed as a student and what I also really emphasize in my class is making sure that the content is really accessible from a practical, immediately applicable kind of place. I think when I think about college classes back when I was in my 20s and doing undergrad, there was a lot of theoretical, kind of discussions and not so much focus on and how do we apply this in the real world. So one of the things that I think that's unique about this program is all of the coursework is, you mentioned it, is really focused on being really practical and immediately applicable. I think another thing that kind of makes it unique is that I love the diversity of people who come and take this program. And what I mean by that is I mean there's people who are business leaders, but not necessarily in an HR career. Then of course there are HR professionals. Then there are also students that are earlier in their careers who are seem like they have an interest in HR, but maybe in some other ways. looking at other kind of careers. And so you have a big breadth and depth of the kind of people that are participating in the program. I think what why that's valuable is because I think as much as you learn from us instructors, I think you also have the ability to learn from each other. And that, really enriches the conversations, really enriches, um, having kind of the light bulbs going off and how things can be applied, or even, figuring out problems that you're dealing with in the here and now in the real world. Um, kind of letting that be kind of the classroom being your lab for getting some of that stuff figured out while you're in class or while you're interacting with your instructors or peers. So that's what I kind of love about the program.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. I love the idea of sort of the community of students in your group and their various strengths and backgrounds, helping each other out in this learning process. I did just want to follow up on one thing. I noticed when I was reviewing our webinar today that we do talk quite a bit about hands-on, things that skills that students will learn that they can put into practice in the real world. Could you give an example of like a specific assignment or activity that you do in one of your classes that might speak to that?
Yeah. So one of the weeks in my class, we talk about coaching skills and the difference between coaching and say mentoring people, where just very simply I'd say like coaching is more about getting out of giving people answers and asking them questions to help people surface their own resourcefulness, whereas mentoring is more about giving people answers, advising. And so one of the things we do in my class is we actually practice coaching each other. Like in class, we kind of identify a topic on something that we want to make progress on, and I walk people through a process of how to support and coach one another. And so people kind of walk away, number one, feeling like, oh, I made some progress on something here myself personally. And number two, oh, like I really got to try this on for myself and feel more confident coming out of the class of how I could bring this to the conversations I'm having back in my, professional work context. Another example would be I follow up that class with a class on performance management and on accountability and giving feedback. And consistently, when I ask people at the end of the semester what is one of the kind of most important things that they took away from the class, people will say, I've never really been properly trained in, how to give feedback effectively and how to not get so nervous about it and how to have a mindset of, that this is an opportunity for their growth. Less thinking about it as constructive criticism and thinking more of it as, professional development. And so we walk them through a process to do that, but there is an actual a planner. There's an actual practical tool that people fill out that walks people through the steps that helps people understand, oh, so this is the best practice of how to do it. And so I have this tool that I can now, you know, have in my toolkit the next time I need to go give someone some difficult feedback. I have a process. I can pull this tool out and go through the steps again to prepare myself to do it effectively.
Thanks so much. This is actually a good segue because I can imagine that giving difficult feedback does require some emotional intelligence. And I know that that's a big part of of your profession and what you bring to the classroom. So emotional intelligence is a significant part of your teaching. Can you share how you incorporate it into your classroom and why it's essential for HR professionals?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, I think people have heard this term probably batted around, but don't always necessarily know what it means. And I like to just say the simple definition of what is emotional intelligence is it's being smart with your feelings, right? Or a different way of saying it is, um, effectively blending what you're feeling or what others are feeling with also rational cognitive thought to make better decisions and to have higher quality relationships. So that's what how I think of emotional intelligence in a kind of everyday definition perspective. And I personally believe I found after many years of leadership and seeing teams be successful or teams frankly implode in some cases, is I noticed the theme of the teams that thrived had leaders with high emotional intelligence, and the ones that kind of imploded or struggled, um, low EQ things, low EQ behaviors were showing up. And so I really believe strongly that the foundation of all leadership is emotional intelligence and everything else is built off of it. Like, so your ability to successfully navigate conflict requires emotional intelligence. Even the ability to see conflict as an opportunity to build trust or to get a better solution or to push innovation is a form of emotional intelligence. The ability to hold people accountable, even even things like what really truly motivates people, what really engages employees on their teams, even people being able to navigate different personalities, different styles of communication, different diversity of thought. All of those things, um, involve our emotions, and therefore, I feel like we need to start our kind of understanding of building high performing teams and leading high performing teams from the perspective of what is EQ, or EI, it's sometimes called, um, in emotional intelligence, and what are some concrete, like very specific competencies that are the hallmarks of demonstrating emotional intelligence. Some of those would be like increasing your empathy. Others would be like recognizing your patterns. Others would be like what we call emotional literacy. And I can tell you more about any one of those, but there are these core competencies of emotional intelligence that I think are an important foundation for people to understand so that we can have the follow up classes that talk about building trust and performance management and how to navigate conflict and how to have a difficult conversation or how to lead organizational change, because all of those things involve people feeling things. So that's why I think emotional intelligence is such a essential part of any HR management program, any business leadership program as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the idea of, emotional intelligence. Emotions can seem so like such a nebulous concept to me, and having like what you said, like a roadmap or some sort of concrete steps to navigate, dealing with other humans and their emotions. Seems like it would be really helpful in that field. As the father of a 7-year-old daughter, I feel like I could also use some of those in my parenting. Would be really useful. So let's check in about this webinar or after this webinar about
Yeah,
that,
sure.
Maria Elena.
Just for what it's worth, when I started my first studies of emotional intelligence, I went to it with the perspective of wanting to bring it to my clients and to leadership, and I ended up walking away um, with profound impacts to my parenting and to my partnering with my husband. And so that is something that people actually say a lot about my class when they're done, is not only like, wow, this was really kind of changed how I'm showing up as a leader, but they often remark about how it kind of impacted their relationships and their personal lives as well.
Great, thanks so much. This is maybe an awkward segue, dealing coming from something that's so human and emotion based to talking about AI, but here we go. Uh, I've got to talk about it because it is the I don't know, the elephant in the room, the rapidly growing one that's kind of taking over all aspects of our life. So AI is becoming a significant tool in all industries. including one that involves humans like HR. How has using AI in your practice influenced your teaching approach at Pace?
Mm. Well, so I'm encouraging AI in the classroom, and I'm also finding myself using it as a professional. I'll start with how we're using it in the classroom. I used to, I mean, I still have this paper that I invite people to write as one of the requirements of the course. And basically, what that research paper or midterm paper is about a topic related to high performing teams and it could be things about like communication, it could be things about diversity, equity, inclusion, it could be about managing remote work teams. But previous to AI, what this midterm paper was kind of creating was a scenario of I'm a leader of a high performing or I'm a leader of a team, let's say, and I'm experiencing an issue or curious about a topic and I need to go investigate this topic to figure out how could I apply it? How can I learn and apply it to the team I'm leading? And so typically in previous years, people would go research and not heavy academic research, but like, Google search, looking for articles and resources to kind of learn about the topic that interested them. And then they would reflect on how that applies to their context, their leadership challenges, their leadership aspirations, etc. And so what happened then is on the dawn of I think people got really nervous about like, ooh, people are writing midterm papers and they're using AI to use it. But I actually encourage my students to use AI as another resource tool to say, okay, you're interested in a topic, go to Chat GPT, type in some questions that you're curious about, see what sources arise out of that research, bounce it off of other sources of research. But I find that Chat GPT is an amazing resource, or AI is an amazing resource to quickly get to the heart of answering some quick questions. It's almost like having a conversation with an expert, a semi-expert, if you will. Um, you always have to bring kind of a critical point of view and be asking yourself, like, does this make sense and does this apply to my context? But it's a very efficient way to like almost feel like you're tapping on the shoulder of a friend who has some good experience and picking their brain. So
Yeah.
I encourage them to do that with the midterm papers. I personally have found myself using it with, a client comes to me and wants a half a day webinar on a certain topic, and I have a general sense of what I'd like to cover, but I'll go to ChatGPT and kind of type in some questions about that topic and ask, like, give me some exercise ideas or give me some. I remember once I wanted to do a webinar on using some meditative practices, and I wasn't finding a meditation that I loved that fit the bill, and I went to ChatGPT and I said, "Write me a meditation about this long that kind of hits these high points. Um, write a meditation for me." And it spit one out that I was like, "This is phenomenal." So I'm, finding it from a learning and development perspective a really amazing tool to at least either validate that I'm on the right track or to give me some ideas.
That's awesome. Also think you touched on this sort of like being able to access an expert on demand, albeit one that you have to sort of check their sources on. But I think that one of the sort of optimistic use cases I've heard for AI in all fields, and it sounds like this could be applicable to HR too, is that it can save you some of the busy work, so you have more time to do the really rewarding and important parts of the work, which is like actually working with the humans that
Mhm.
you're, as an HR professional. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Let's get back to maybe something that is more human than the AI conversation. What have you found most rewarding about working with PACE students, and is there a moment that stands out to you?
I find it rewarding. the growth that I see over the arc of the class. So my class, there is quite a bit of self-reflection. I think it's, I think of leader. I've heard leadership's first commandment: "Know thyself." Right, um, and so kind of either hearing people share in the Zoom sessions or through their online discussions or in their reflections, how they've grown, um, how the courses shaped them, how it's impacted their relationships. Um, I find that really rewarding that people can really kind of point to the impact that that's had on them. Thinking of a specific moment, I had one this semester where I had um, an international student who was very conscientious and really wanted to get like a really excellent grade. And she knew that part of the ability to do that was for her to speak up in class and to participate and share her perspective. And in the first 2 weeks, she wasn't doing that. And she reached out to me and talked about kind of some of the obstacles she was experiencing. Of course, language being one of them, but just also just self confidence and other things. And we had a nice little chat in email over the course of a few days. And I think she's someone who would have been struggling to speak up in her role professionally in general because she was very introverted young woman. And by the end of the course, she was speaking up and offering her insight and doing so quite comfortably. And she sent me a lovely email just this week, just expressing her gratitude that this class had kind of gotten her over the hump of being afraid to speak up and share her point of view, which is going to be something that is going to be important for her to be able to do in her career. She has so much potential, but she was really getting stuck and being able to do that. And so, like that kind of um, just feels so rewarding to know that people are growing in that way.
Sure, and I can imagine it must feel rewarding for that student too, enough so that she would be able to reach back and feel comfortable enough to contact you and kind of, celebrate some successes and continue to ask questions. Um, another question, sort of for folks here, attendees here, for those considering the program, what advice would you give them to get the most out of their experience here?
Well, I would say it kind of follows what I was just saying about this young lady. I think be willing to share. Um, People will learn from you, and you will learn from your own self reflection and sharing with others. I would also say be willing to ask questions. Um, even be willing to be skeptical and push back on anything that you're learning and say that, well, I haven't found that to be true in the real world, or I haven't found, or I don't feel like this this really happens in practice. It might be a good theory, but I've seen it work this way. Namely, don't just kind of be a passive participant, like really engage in the material, engage with your instructor, engage with your students. I think one of the really rewarding things out of this program is that there's a huge opportunity to build relationships with people in this program. And people really develop some friendships. In fact, just a month ago, I had someone reach out that took a class that, as I was a student, that reached out to me, and we were together like 7 years ago. And she reached out because she had a question and had a need at her current organization. So there's so much opportunity to connect, to network, to build relationships, and to just kind of leverage your experiences and share your experiences while you go through the program.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that, as a program manager for a few different programs that PACE offers, including accounting, one of the things that distinguishes accountants from human resource professionals or those getting into the field is that the human resource program, the students there tend to take advantage of the human networking that takes place in those courses. The cohorts tend to work with each other and stay in touch more so than the accountants do. And I think that that might just speak to the different types of people that get into that field, and also, the kind of environment you're creating in your class, Maria Elena. So I appreciate that. Um, before, sort of like last thoughts on your perspective, is there anything else we haven't discussed that that prospective students should know about PACE's HR program management?
Yeah, I just want to say a word about my experience as being a student and kind of juggling it with, having a full time job or, raising a family or, when I was at this stage, kind of considering the program, I was worried about that. And I would just say that I did not find the coursework or the amount of reading or the assignments to be overly burdensome. I mean, there's some effort involved, but it was very manageable, to kind of complete the program and, do your homework and keep up. I didn't feel like it was overly demanding in any way. There was one semester that I did take 2 courses at the same time, and I would say that was definitely a little harder. That was definitely a little harder. But when I took 1 course a semester, it was very, very, very manageable. And, the 2 when I did the 2, I was highly motivated to get it done in a certain amount of time. I just had to kind of, you know, for that 12-week or 11-week period of time, had to just kind of like hunker down a little bit more, be a little more disciplined with how much Netflix I was watching, let's say. Um, but it was possible to get 2 done as well, but I would personally recommend, a 1 at a time just because you do get to learn so much and you kinda wanna give your brain some space to absorb it, and not get overwhelmed with too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for speaking to that. That'll come up again in a moment when we get into our Q&A session about like sort of how long the program takes. So that's all I wanted to ask you, Maria Elena, about your perspective. But as we talked before, Maria Elena will stick around for the Q&A session that we're about to get into in case she has can answer any of the questions that you folks have. So thanks for your perspective.
You're welcome.
Um, now it's time to hear from you in our Q&A session, you attendees. This is your chance to ask Maria Elena and me any questions you have. And if we don't have the answer right away, no worries. We'll follow up and get back to you. To get us started, I did want to share a few frequently asked questions that we often get. So the first is, what are the prerequisites for the program? And the answer is there are no formal prerequisites. Our program is designed to accommodate a wide range of experience levels, whether you're new to HR or looking to advance in your career, all are welcome. And Maria Elena mentioned how much of a strength that can be, having people from different places along this HR professional journey come together in one class. Another question that we often get is, Maria Elena spoke to this, actually she spoke to the next one, so I'll get to that. But can I complete the program while working full time? Definitely. Most of the program is offered in a flexible online live format that's perfect for working professionals. For those who prefer a traditional classroom experience, we also offer in-person and high flex options for some courses, and all of our courses are offered after the workday. How long does it typically take to finish the program? This is kind of piggyback, or this is where Maria Elena's discussion about taking two courses at the same time comes in. Most students complete the certificate in about a year, but it is flexible. You can adjust the pace depending on your schedule, goals, and whatnot. So, if you're willing to reduce your Netflix time, you might be able to do it in less than a year. And if you need to stay atop of all of those prestige TV shows, then you might plan for about a year. Okay, so if you have any questions about the program, now's your chance to ask away. We already have some coming up in the chat. So I'll start with those, but feel free to raise your hand and ask them out loud, or you can just drop them in the chat. So I just open this up a little bit larger. So Christina asked a few great questions. Are the courses eligible for SHRM credits? And here, let's see. So she asked, what are the courses eligible for SHRM credits? And also two more questions. Do any of the courses specifically cover risk management or safety compliance? Another question, do you have any resources for pitching enrollment to a current employer? Christina, we are still gathering information, but here's what we have so far. So generally, yes, professional development credits, PDCs, should be awarded for HR professional level courses, the ones that are offered by us at PACE. While SHRM rules continuously refer to PDCs, just note that PACE courses offer academic credit units, and we are an accredited institution because we are through the University of California. Let me proceed on down here. Besides, Ariana asks, besides the UC student discount, are there other options for financial aid for current UCSB students? Yes, there are. I can't speak to those right off the top of my head, but I know that they are available, that there's more information available for that on the website, Ariana. So browse through there. Um, this question from Annabelle is a relevant one. What do class sizes look like? I'm going to pitch this one to Maria Elena. Just in your experience, Maria Elena, what have your class sizes looked like?
I think, on a low end, maybe about 10 students. On the high end, maybe 18 or 20. When I was a student, um, I'd say they were probably about that same size as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that sounds like a healthy number, but a healthy mix between being able to get the individual attention that you need, and also having like a substantial cohort that you might be able to use for networking and bounce ideas off of during the course. Brianna asks, do you think it would be okay to start with a class other than Foundations of HR Management first? Or do you need that as a base for the other classes? I think we do offer the Foundations of HR Management class throughout like every quarter. So I think we do that because we do recommend starting with that class first. However, you do not need that as a base for other classes. I think that it's sequenced in a way that would recommend starting that way, but if that doesn't work for your schedule, you can certainly do it in whatever order you would like.
I would say for my course, you definitely don't need it in advance. I would say, though, having gone through the program, I would probably take that before I took the legal aspects class. Um, yeah, I wouldn't go straight to the legal aspects one personally. I'd want the foundations before I took that one.
Thanks for the insider scoop. Appreciate that, Maria Elena. Um, I don't see any other questions coming in right now. Christine, I did just want to make sure that you know and other folks know that we will get back to you with these questions since any that we're not able to answer right now. We will be able to get back to you. You entered your emails in when you registered for this, so we'll make sure that those questions get back to you. And also, I do want to show some of our contact information where you can continue to ask us questions as we close out here. So. We're coming to the end of today's session, but before we wrap up, I'll walk you through some next steps. First off, if you want to dive deeper into what we covered today, check out the PACE HR Management Program website. It has all the details on courses, schedules, and how to get started. It's a great resource to explore at your own pace. Keep an eye on enrollment deadlines and upcoming course offerings. If you're thinking about joining the program, now is the perfect time to plan your next steps and lock in your spot. Remember, our next quarter is the winter one, which begins Monday, January 6th. So sign up if you want to start soon. If you have follow-up questions or just need help deciding if this program is the right fit for you, don't hesitate to reach out. Whether it's about courses, schedules, or anything else, we're here to help to make the process as smooth as possible. And you can see this is our contact information. You can email us. If you call that phone number, a live human being will pick up the phone and answer your questions in real time. And first off, I just wanted to say thank you so much to Maria Elena for joining us and sharing her expertise today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your busy workday to join us. So thank you very much. And I appreciate all of you attendees for being with us today. We hope you'll join PACE for your HR journey. Whether you're dipping your toes into one course or jumping in all the way for the full certificate, we are proud of the program we've created for you, and we're here to support you every step of the way. Please reach out to us with any questions that come to mind as we end our time together today. You can see our contact information here, and you can also just search the web for UCSB PACE HR Management to find us. Thank you all so much. This webinar will be posted on our website soon. So if you need to review anything or circle back, feel free to check that out. And please reach out to us if we can support you in any other way as you begin your HR management journey.